And hello there. I'm going to present you Dasharo tool suite status and future improvements in this area. My name is Daniel and I'm junior embedded systems developer interested in system level programming and security. Currently, I'm a member of GMDev Zarhus team and responsible for, among other, for Dasharo tool suite. And here is the agenda for this presentation. Firstly, we will cover what is actually DTS. Then we will go to the latest changes and features added in quarter 3 and 4 of 2024 year, including some issue statistics, contributions, as I said, features. Then we will dive a bit deeper into DTS related stuff, that is into its architecture, latest problems, and then into testing. Then I will present you the new DTS architecture and features it provides, and DTS tests which will be developed alongside this architecture. And the roadmap of quarter 1 and 2 of 2025 year for the test will finish this presentation actually. Now, what is the test? The test states for Dasharo tool suite and is a tiny Linux kernel built for 64-bit architecture called x86. And with goal to make Dasharo user experience more pleasant and easier. Actually, it could be thought as a solid and secure bridge between a user and Dasharo. It has several Dasharo and Coribou tools built in, as well as other firmware-related tools for enhancing debugging and programming. But most importantly, it has a layer of automation and graphical user interface scripts that make the test more user-friendly. And here is a bit of statistics for Q3 and Q4 of 2024. We had 2 big releases actually, and our plans to fight issues that appeared before Q3 2024 have met a counterattack, and now we are fighting back to close all those issues. And here I would like to thank all users that give us feedback, that open issues and report problems to us. It is really important for us developers in progress to fix it. Great thanks to all of you. Then I'm going to present you some DTS features and changes since Q2 2024. There are a lot of changes actually, but first of all entire DTS have been updated. That is, it has been updated to new Yocto long-term support, ScarGov. So all tools and all core elements such as Linux kernel and bootloaders have been updated. Then a huge actual list of new features have been added, and first of all, pre-commit. Now all repositories under which is related to the DTS and a lot of actual which is related to Dasharo are using pre-commit. So now our code looks like more pleasant, developing friendly and contribution friendly. There some new tools have been added in last two updates, including the tools for Dasharo trustroot provisioning for Intel Bay Trail platforms. And then Everballs mode has been introduced into the test because we had a bunch of problems with debugging release 2.0.0, and we decided to introduce this feature. Then release 2.0.0 introduced new DTS graphical user interface. We'll talk about it later. Release 2.0.0, among others, introduced a new feature called DTS extensions feature. We will talk about this later as well. Then UEFI capsule update has been introduced into DTS in release 2.1.0. 2.1.0, and in nearest future, this way to update Dasharo firmware will be preferred for some of the supported platforms, and for those who don't know, who not familiar with UEFI capsule update, or for those who for whom Piotr explanation was a bit maybe difficult, I will say some words for this capsule update too. It's actually a new way of updating firmware, so you don't need to use strange, inconvenient, or unstable tools to update your firmware. You just feed firmware update file into your already installed firmware, and this firmware do all the work for you. Pretty easy. No place for error, for issues and faults actually. DTS is now in netboot XYZ official support. This is information for those who love iPXE and the way iPXE boots all known operating systems, which is actually pretty easy. And there's some new platforms have been introduced, as Piotr said. Nova Custom Meteor Lake platforms and got Dasharo firmware support, so they have been introduced in DTS as well. Dell Optiplex have been introduced, Android as well, and some updates, as Piotr said, for MSI platforms. And there are some important changes that should be outlined here, because we have already met some misunderstoods from our community. The first one is that the test script moved to a separate repository. The test script is actually this automation and graphical user interface layer, and now it is in a separate repository and is being linked into DTS by Yocto recipe. So if someone wants to modify it for their usage, or to modify it, then don't forget that it is in a separate repository right now. Then, of course, enhancing debugging, as I was said. On the right side of the slide, you can see an example of this enhanced debugging in new DTS. And it really helps us to debug problems while developing. And we actually would like to ask users to use this option when they meet any issues and problems with DTS, and to send us logs. It will make response time for failures and issues a lot shorter, I would say. And important change is that QEMU is now supported by DTS, which results in many advantages, as will be discussed later. And here is our new graphical user interface. We have here some more information about hardware and information about firmware, and of course more colors. So this graphical user interface now looks like more for hackers, I would say. And actually, this the test extension feature. This is something similar to private packages. In case some client wants something to be shipped by us, and this something should not be shared or published in internet, because the test is open source entirely. We have added this extension, so now this client can communicate with us and say, well, I don't want this thing to be published, so can you make it private, and we will organize it on our servers, and we'll give you credentials that will give access to both your firmware you bought and your custom test extension. And all you need to do after you gain these credentials, you just need to provide them into the test, and the test will automatically download your extension. And as you can see, these extensions could extend the actual graphical user interface of the test. Here is an example for Dasharo Trust Root Provisioning. And a bit about the test architecture. So let's dive a bit deeper. Lately, we have been having some problems with the test architecture, its validation, testing, and debugging. So we introduced an issue which should resolve all these problems. And first of all, this issue targets migration from monolithic like architecture to architecture with models, as you can see here. We have some common models like user interface, configuration, deployment, and all these models have will have predefined, strictly defined communication interfaces. And we have some interesting models called HAL, real HAL, and HAL for test. This is actually related to testing, which will be an important part of future updates. Here you can see the test coverage. We would like to introduce with new architecture new tests as well, and this will be two types of tests: end-to-end test and unit test. End-to-end tests will cover almost entire the test architecture, while unit tests will cover only hardware-dependent model. And important feature of end-to-end tests is ability to do these tests automatically everywhere in CI/CD, from home, no need to touch real hardware. This is because of QEMU support added. Now we can test in almost entire details on QEMU without interaction with hardware. But this test needs a specific model to be implemented called HAL. As you can see here for test, this HAL contains just mocking functions. So it will be possible to test on camel. More about these end-to-end tests. The philosophy of this test is just to use already available infrastructure in DTS and in OSFR repository, and go from DTS and test DTS like real user. The tests will boot DTS, will configure these mocking functions, this HAL for Camel, to pretend it is some platform like MSI, and then choose a workflow, for example, deploying workflow, and will go step by step using standard graphical user interface available for all users, and check if the test hardware unrelated logic works fine. This test, as I said, will cover almost entire DTS and will be executed automatically in CI/CDs and almost everywhere. We hope that this test will help us to stabilize, to make releases, introducing new features more stable and secure in the test, and make testing more easier. And and there is unit tests for hardware related code separated. Its entire hardware related code will live in one model that will make it easier to test, and will covered by unit tests, which will test every hardware related function or tool separately. We wanted to minimize this model so interactions with hardware will be there will be as minimum as possible interactions with hardware and manual steps. And these tests will be executed on hardware-related releases and features. And after introducing all these features, I want to share a roadmap for Dasharo tool suite for Q1 and Q2 of 2025. As you can see, it will start with internal infrastructure changes, which will be mostly invisible for end users. But one important thing to note here, we will migrate from currently used format of credentials to new credentials, which will be more easier for end users to use. Then we will go to user experience issues. As I said, new graphical user interface was introduced, but user experience needs some fixes in area when we go from start to end using some DTS workflows. This all prints. For the time being, it's a bit it's a bit messy, and we are going to fix it. Then we will continue developing tests that were introduced before, and there will be some simultaneous development because all this because we will divide these features into releases under version 2.xx, as you see, and actual refactoring, actual new architecture, and most of the tests will go to release 3.0.0, which will be developed simultaneously with all 2.xx releases. And here is the end. It's a high time for your questions or for some ideas. If you have some, it's high time to introduce them. We'll consider maybe including them in new releases.